So in this question, you have like Steph, who scored 15 out of 20 baskets in the first half of the game, and 10 out of 10 attempts in the second half. So you have Candace, who took 12 attempts in the first half and 18 attempts in the second half. So in each half, Steph scored a higher percentage of baskets than did Candace. But surprisingly, they ended with the same overall percentage of baskets scored. So how many more baskets did Candace score in the second half than in the first? So this question might be like very like counterintuitive, right? Like we're told that Steph is kind of like Steph is doing better than Candace in both the first half and the second half. But somehow when you combine the two together, they do equally well. So in mathematics, like this actually has a special name. I think it's called like the Simpson paradox or something like that. But like that's not, you don't need to know that for this. It's like where in this case, Steph does better than Candace in each of the two halves. But when you combine the two halves, they actually do the same. Like they do like better, or they do equally well. So okay, so like to do this question, like let's say like Candace scores like A points in like the first half, right? Scores A baskets, or let's use X and Y. Let's say Candace scores X baskets in the first half, and let's say Candace scores Y baskets in the second half. So if you were to combine Steph's like basketball like shooting skills like in the two halves, like if you were to combine these, you'd get the numerator's 15 plus 10, which is 25. Then the denominator is 30. So if you were to combine Steph's results, then Steph, out of 30 baskets, scored 25 of them successfully. And if you were to combine Candace's basketball shooting skills, Candace would have scored X plus Y total points in the two halves and 30 points. Like she would have attempted 30 points in total. So we know that they ended up scoring the same number of baskets, right? So if Steph scored 25 points and Candace scored X plus Y points, then that just tells us that X plus Y has to equal 25. All right, so nothing tricky about that. And now we have to use the information that Steph in each half, Steph scored a higher percentage of baskets than Candace. So in the first half, Steph scored 15 out of 20, right? And we're given that's a higher percentage than how much Candace scored. So 15 over 20 has to be bigger than X over 12. And we're also given, in the second half, Steph also does better. So we know 10 out of 10 has to be less than Y over 18, right? So if you were to like work with these equations, right? So in this second inequality, right, we have 10 over 10 is greater than Y over 18. So if you were to like kind of 10 out of 10, that's just 1, right? Obviously. So that tells us that Y is less than 18. Like if you were to rearrange this, rearrange the inequality to get this, Y is less than 18. But from X plus Y, we know X plus Y equals 25, right? So if X plus Y is 25, then Y is 25 minus X. And if Y is 25 minus X and this is less than 18, we can kind of find a bound on X, right? We can simplify and we get 7 is less than X. So X is greater than 7, right? Now we have to use this information here, right? Like in this case, we didn't use this information, right? 15 over 20 is greater than X over 12. So 15 over 20 is greater than X over 12. So if you were to simplify this, 15 over 20 is 3 over 4. And if you were to multiply both sides by 12 times 12 is greater than X. So 3 over 4 times 12 is 9. So that tells us X is less than 9. So we have X is greater than 7 and X is less than 9. The only integer that is bigger than 7 and less than 9 is 8. So that tells us that X must equal 8. Now that we know X equals 8, and we know X plus Y equals 25, right? X plus Y is 25. So that means Y has to equal 17. So if X equals 8 and Y equals 17, we go back and read the question. The question asks us how many more baskets did Candace score in the second half than in the first. So the second half she scored Y points, and in the second half, or in the first half, Candace scored X points. So we want to find what is Y minus X. So we just do Y minus X. That's 17 minus 8, and the answer would just be 9, and that would correspond to choice C, and we would be done. Yeah, so I think this was mainly an algebra problem, just converting. Like I feel like this test had like a lot of word problems, kind of, not really. Well, kind of. Like I guess the main thing is you want to convert like all of this information that they gave you into math. So in this case, we converted it into equations and inequalities, and then we did like math, and then like using our logic skills, we were able to like find like bounds on x. We found 7 is less than x and 9 is greater than x. We found x must be 8. And using that, we got y is 17. So like, I think the main theme for word problems is you always want to convert words to math, which is basically what we did here.